All right. Well, here is the situation. My son got this tear in his pants. It's not in the knee, which is where he normally gets them, like here. And so I don't want to use like an iron-on patch. I don't think it's going to work very well. So I am going to attempt to seam rip this seam right here and open up this belted area and use a piece of some old torn pants and kind of make a double thick patch to kind of mend around the material that's still there. We'll see how it turns out. Here it is with the seam ripped out where the material had actually just went through the seam. It didn't actually tear. It slipped out. So now I'm going to attempt to put something on there to reinforce it so that I can stitch it back up and not have it rip again. So when I opened it, up and took out the seam, I noticed that it wasn't actually ripped. It had just kind of slipped through. It probably was sewn too closely. So rather than trying to take a piece of fabric and sew it onto there and reinforce it, I'm just going to tuck it kind of in and seam it back up. So I have everything pinned up so that the fabric is within the where it's supposed to be, and I have put in some thread that I picked up at our secondhand store that pretty much matches the same color, and I have switched my needle out to a heavy-duty denim needle. This is a good idea if you have them on hand. If you don't, just purchase some. They're not that expensive, and it really saves your needle, your regular needle, and it's meant to work through the heavier and thicker fabrics. And now I'm going to sew the seam right along there and then check to make sure that I didn't sew the elastic waistband that's in there for tightening the pants. And I almost forgot to mention, I'm going to be sewing, I ripped the seam, so I'm going to back sew on some of the seam that's still there to make sure that it's tacked in place and doesn't come loose. I'm going to do the same on this side. I made sure not to seam rip it too close to the belt loop because they're a pain to take on and off to sew over. And there we have it. I probably could have loosened my stitch a little bit, but it's all sewn up. It's nice and tight. I don't think he's going to be ripping it out anytime soon. There's the inside. And thank you for watching. Hope it helped. Here it is with the seam ripped out where the material had actually just went through the seam. It didn't actually tear. It slipped out. So now I'm going to attempt to put something on there to reinforce it so that I can stitch it back up and not have it rip again.